Why don't you give me a sign?
This is Corinna Jane.
The leaves are trailing on that shore. It's not your problem, it's mine.
With her brand new single, Give Me a Sign.
Me to your door while the world still spins.
As featured on BBC Introducing.
It's just the way it's gotta be. Give me a sign about the things that we don't know. Why don't you give me a sign?
Corinna Jane, Give Me a Sign. Out now.
It's not your promise, mine.
Oh, baby, you know I'm crazy for ya. Oh, baby, I'm gonna run away with you.
Here's your wedding cake.
Oh, baby, you know I'm crazy for ya.
You gonna give me a kiss?
Baby, I'm gonna run away with you.
Hello, I'm Sophia Jessica, and welcome to the Fan Carpet.
It's wonderful to speak to you today, Clara. Have you been okay? How are you?
Thank you. I've been very, very well. I have been just trying to do the best I can in the given circumstances, and yeah, hopefully everyone comes out of this better. But it has been a very just emotional and grieving time for a multitudinous of reasons, especially in the States.
Absolutely. So if we go back to the beginning, was there a defining moment for you to get into the entertainment industry?
That's a really great question. I think when I was very young, I enjoyed sort of playing narrative roles with my grandmother and then with a really good friend of mine. Essentially, now that I look back, a lot of that was method acting or sort of rehearsed acting that my friend and I were doing. And then when I hit 17, I wrote a bunch of solo plays that were really important to me, and they won some really great awards at the Fairfax stage at Melbourne Theatre Complex in Victoria, Australia, and then that, I guess, sort of took off, doing it more professionally in a variety of mediums, from sort of classical Shakespearean training to more avant-garde training with an American-Japanese theatre company that I was doing some training with, and then feature films started to come out too. So yeah, I think that was around that time, sort of 16, 17, self-producing pieces.
That's awesome. So what was it about In Kapoor that enticed you to get involved?
Yeah, so Sarah and Ivan, who are the two producers and sort of writer-directors of the piece, were good friends of mine, and we've done a few films together. And we have always really enjoyed doing works that were challenging or experimenting with different film mediums. And Ivan and Sarah wanted to look at mumblecore as a genre. So I immigrated to America in 2013, but we wanted to keep working together. And then the two of them and I sort of discussed, well, what else could we work on? And through a combination of personal experiences and anecdotes and research, we sort of started to create this piece. But it was done in mumblecore style. So it was sort of scenes and were crafted and the narrative was crafted, but the actors were given the responsibility to mumble their way through the dialogue and find the reality in the piece. Yeah.
Okay.
Kind of
Great. So how do you relate to Julia?
Yeah, I mean, in many ways, there's a lot of personal biographical elements that are in this piece for many of the actors in it. So Julia is similar to some spaces I've engaged in as a person in relationships. I think how I'm different from her, though, is that she is very, very defensive, and I can be defensive, but I think she's defensive to her own detriment. She is struggling so much to try to express that she doesn't fit in with the conservatism that is surrounding her, that she doesn't know how to do it. She doesn't have really the access to the community that she's really part of to use the right words to get her there. And she also doesn't really know how to tell the community she's in that it's not comfortable for her to be in that conservative space. And so I think where I differ with Julia is she's more defensive when she's not comfortable in her own skin, whereas I think as Clara, I have a tendency to over-communicate when I am uncomfortable and sit in that discomfort if that is required.
Right, okay. So do you have any memories from filming that will stick with you throughout the rest of your career?
That's a great question. Of this particular movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, mean, to be honest, the collaboration that went into the fourth quarter of the movie, where I'm with the character Patrick towards the end of the movie, where we are at the house, that is the art set decoration team for that really, really stuck out with me. It was a really lovely collaborative day. Everyone from the crew to the cast were really inclusive and having a good time. I don't know, that just was always been a nice moment. And then another moment that I think will stick with me forever that I really like the photo shoot as well as the acting scene we did is the bed scene with me and the scene with Julia and Henry with my colleague Frank Fazio. You know, a very good friend, and I just love the scene where I put the cake on his face, and I think it's really fun, and I had a good time filming that. So, yeah, that will always stick with me, I think.
Awesome. When tackling like these like harder subjects, do you have to keep a level of joviality on the set? Like, do you have to keep it jovial, do you think?
That's a good question. I wasn't involved in the Berlin section or the Maltese section, so I would be curious to know how my colleagues felt about that. I think for the Melbourne section and the New York section, no, I think you need to create a safe space if you're going to get to these really uncomfortable, challenging, sexually intimate, and borderline traumatic situations. I think it's the director's job to create that safe space, not mollycoddle the actor, but it's their responsibility to make sure as actors it's a safe environment. We had a closed set for both of those experiences that I had, which was really important. And then the actor's job is to go deeper and 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 deeper, I think. I think there's moments of levity that for sure come out and that help access your vulnerability. But if you're being jovial for deflection purposes, I think you do yourself a disservice as an artist because you block yourself from being with the discomfort. I mean, I find the movie particularly uncomfortable to watch, and that's what we were going for. We were wanting to look at these relationships that are not generally put up on screen, and in the moments that they're generally not put up on screen, like the audience is meeting these three major relationships in the moment of discomfort. And that's the point. It's to say, you know, what happens when communication breaks down in any relationship, whether it's polyamorous relationship, whether it's more conservative monogamy, whether it's more sex work industry related and a gay love affair. The truth is, at least what we were trying to explore through, again, personal experiences and anecdotes and research is really if you break down communication, which can include silence and stillness and just being there, but if you break down communication, you break down the affection and the comfort. And so that rawness is what we wanted to expose. And I think you can't expose that rawness if you're making jokes at yourself because you're uncomfortable. If it's a natural joke and jovialness, then maybe that's yeah, for sure. I mean, that cake scene with Frank was a lot of fun to film. And then we have a very intimate love scene. But that was because we were in a place where those two characters are meant to be fun. I think if we'd started making jokes during the sex scene, it wouldn't have been very intimate.
Yeah, I can see that.
Maybe I don't know.
So say again.
Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
No, I think you did the right thing with. Comedy is good for when it's needed, not all the time. So, do you have any preferred genres and any favorite films?
I do have preferred genres to watch. I love watching miserable films. Now that I'm saying that, I guess In Corpore is a little bit miserable too. So maybe I just like stories that are intense and miserable. I really like an Italian movie called Respiro, which now I'm blanking on the director, but it's a really beautiful film. And I also really love this French, I think it's West African French cartoon. Kirikou is about this young boy who discovers this, I guess this villain of his village is hurting his people and goes on a mission to understand why people are mean to each other. And the core that he comes away with is if someone is in pain, they often feel the need to inflict pain on others. And so he tries to remove the pain from the villain and everything works out. And then Respiro is an Italian movie. It's not a cartoon, it's a filmed movie from 2002 set in Lampedusa in Sicily, where there is a husband and wife, and again, the community is very mean to the wife because she's very different. She's suffering from mental health concerns, and they don't really know what's going on. And rather than, putting love first, there's a lot of judgment. And so I guess my genre that I like is movies that deal with judgment. I'm clearly figuring that out as I process that with you, Mark. So thanks for asking.
Cool. No worries. That's great to hear. All right. So you're listed as a producer as well as an actress. But are there any other aspects of the entertainment industry that you'd like to pursue?
Yeah, I mean, I do a lot of stage writing, and right now I am working on 3 scripts actually, 2 as a lead writer and 1 as a co-creator, but they are not screenplays per se. They are theatre. So I do love writing theatre a lot. I have won some awards for some performance art pieces that I've written and curated as well, which I really enjoy. So yeah, writer.
Great. Yeah, I read that in your bio that you do a lot of writing, so that's cool. It's great to see that you're doing that. So you're credited with a lot of short films. Do you tackle those differently than features?
I think the difference is that there's often less time involved, but I mean, most of the short films I've been involved in are because I want to spend the amount of time working on character and developing characters I would in a feature film. So whilst there's less time that is invested in a short film for sure, no, I think the level of work for character work it still invigorates me to do it as if it were a longer piece of narrative. I mean, yeah, you've got less time to flesh out a character's nuances, but I think your role as an actor should be probably the same.
Right. And on the flip side of that, obviously with your stage background, do you approach those differently than a filmed piece?
In terms of character,
Yeah, or just in terms of because obviously you have to play to the back of the room, for example, so you have to be bigger in your performance on stage. But in a film, it's there's well, you're mic'd up and you're playing to that moment rather than the back of a room.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, I think so. I mean, I do a lot of clowning in my stage work when it's self-devised stuff too. So that I would say is different to when I'm doing more narrative theatre, which yes, does still require a lot of vocal projection to reach the back of the room. Although that's an art that I think a lot of us are missing due to COVID. Yeah, with film, for sure, there's a level of different intimacy with a camera. Yeah, so yes, I think you approach them different ways.
Cool. Okay. So are there any genres that you haven't done yet that you'd like to?
I have done horror, and it got into the Cannes Film Festival distribution market. It was a film called Johnny Ghost, and I really like that genre. I'd like to do more of that. I
All
don't think
right.
there's done yet. I like doing sketch and comedy, and I've done some little skits throughout the pandemic on Instagram and things like that, just to sort of keep us awake and alive. But yeah, I really quite enjoyed doing that horror film, Johnny Ghost, with Donna McRae many years ago now. I'd like to do more.
Cool. Yeah, that seems to be a popular genre, the horror genre. Do you, when making those, do you find them do you find them easy to make but hard to watch, or is it the other way around?
Yeah, definitely. I don't like watching horror, but I like filming it. Yep.
Okay. All right. So, is there a book that you're a fan of that hasn't been adapted to film or TV or Netflix yet that you'd love to be a part of?
Ooh, that's a great question, and I think I would have had the answer for you 2 years ago, but no, I can't think of that. I'm thinking of a book by Gail Honeywell. What was it called? Do I have a minute to get into my memory? Oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man. I can't remember it. I'll have to get back to you on that. But yeah, there's a book by Gail Honeywell that I remember really reading and loving it. And being like, I want to play that role, but now I can't remember what it was. Oh man. Well, the movie's been made with Reese Witherspoon in it, but I remember reading Gail Honeyman's work and wanting to be in her novels. Eleanor Oliphant is completely fine, but Witherspoon and Hollywood people have taken that. But that would have been something I would have loved to have done. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So with the popularity of streaming services like Netflix, what do you think the future of cinema is?
Probably more of that for sure. I've got some friends who refuse and they're finding ways to go to cinemas regardless of COVID and doing it safely distanced. I think a lot of people are leaving New York City to go to New Jersey to do that because New Jersey's still allowing that. In America, at least, different states have different rules. But yeah, I think there's going to be much more streaming, much more home viewing, and the convenience of people to do it from their house. And I think that's the reality.
As an actress, do you find that it opens up more possibilities for you?
To stream?
Well, like to work on a streaming program rather than like if you know that that's where it's going to end up, does it open up more avenues for you?
I have to think about the question, Mark. I don't know if I can answer that. I mean, I know that New York City has been flourishing in the last few months there's a lot of filming that's going on, and the way people are making COVID safe sets is really interesting. Like the new special that came out, the Yearly Departed comedy special that was made. It was interesting to see the behind the scenes of that, how they socially distanced everyone in what the audience watches, but it was all green screen and all one actor at a time. Whereas when you watch it as an audience member, it looks like they're all in the room together, socially distanced. So I think it's going to change the narrative. Actually, I think it's going to affect screenwriting probably more than the acting side of it. Oh, I guess as actors, there's more acting that you're going to do to empty space, less real thing work together in the same room. That's going to be tough. Yeah.
It's going to be a challenge, whatever happens. So, what are you hoping audience will take away from In Kapoor when they get a chance to see it?
I really want people to watch it in a space of feeling safe, feeling uncomfortable, because I think what the movie really says pretty strongly is relationships really have no hope if you spend your entire time judging yourself and therefore judging other people. What I really want them to take away from it is how can I be more intimate with my loved ones, with my partner, with my family, with my friends? How can I judge people less who are different from me? How can I do a better job expressing what my what my needs are without stepping on other people's needs at the same time? Because I think there's a universe that can be done quite well. But I think most relationships go down the potty when people feel insecure about feeling vulnerable, and that's not going to work, at least in my personal experience and in the study of this movie and these characters.
All right. So in these difficult times, what are you looking forward to getting back to when it's safe to do so? Do you have any projects on the go?
I really want to get back in a theater and breathe with the audience and spit on them and have them breathe with me, as disgusting as that sounds. And I don't know if that's going to happen anytime soon, to be honest, because it's just not going to be safe enough for a couple of years. So there'll be workarounds, and there's a lot of sort of interesting virtual technology that's happening, and I'm involved with productions through theatre, through AR, through VR, through film. But what I really want to do is get in this theatre space again and breathe with those fellow humans. But I don't know when it's going to happen.
What's the VR stuff that you're doing?
We have a company that we co-founded. It's an ensemble collective at the moment called the Extended Reality Ensemble, and we've got an Instagram page and a website, and we've started to develop international projects where we're looking at interdisciplinary artists fusing creative coders with analog artists. And so we've got a bunch of different projects happening this year that we are about to launch in a couple of months. But that's really exciting for me, sort of figuring out this space. I think theatre has done a terrible job of moving into the technological industry. You know, the gaming world's booming. Even dancers and dance companies were more into that tech space years ago. You know, there are some theatre companies that obviously do it very, very well. But as a mass, I think theatre artists don't do that very well. So interested to see how that can grow. Yeah.
That sounds cool. Um, I mean, when working with like VR and AR, do you like do you find that the approach for those is different to what you would usually do? Like,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm really intimate, so I'm really interested in looking at the intimacy of acting, and that's what I think makes great theatre, and that's what makes great film as well. But it's harder with the augmented and virtual realities because I think we're just learning how to make that work. What is it? How do we engage audiences too? I mean, that's the biggest challenge for me is my audience, friends, and members who were used to going to see a theatre and knew what the rules were with theatre don't know what the rules are with using an Oculus or live streaming a show is or et cetera, et cetera. So finding a way to include different demographics in that conversation. I'm thinking about, senior members of the public who might not be as tech interested or tech savvy. I'm thinking about individual demographics who maybe historically have been marginalized, don't have access to the wealth bracket to engage with tech devices. And how do we get devices to those communities to enjoy it? It's an interesting conversation. I don't have a solution, but I'm interested in navigating that. Yeah.
yeah, to be on the forefront of it. I mean, to be like kind of a pioneer in that respect
Yeah.
with the new technology. Just grab it by the grab it by the horns and just like follow its journey.
Right. Well, especially in the age too of checking our white supremacy, I think access to these devices is a really interesting conversation to me as well, because I do have access to them and I want to make stuff in that space. And we're not always making everything for everyone, but the same way that wheelchair accessible theaters became normal to
Mm.
normalize enabling conversations about diversity within a community to access certain works. And, I mean, we're thinking about sort of the concerns around ableism and the community that I come from with that and how we can do a better job of being less, more inclusive and less ostracizing.
Something I've been that I've played around with. I haven't like made any of them, but I've just watched a couple. Is that there's like these interactive films that are being made. So that's really cool. From what I haven't done Bandersnatch. I did the Complex, and there was one a few months ago called Five Dates, and you play as the main, and you play as the character that is like going on these dates, and there's like five of them. There are different outcomes, and yeah, it's just more interactive. But I think that's where it's going to be going in terms of film. I lost you.
I think you're right. Yeah.
All right. Um, so, so in terms of the projects, is there anything you're working on at the moment, or is it just a load of writing that you're doing?
In terms of projects that I'm acting in, there is a political activist script that I just finished writing and put through the ethical committee ringer, and we're filming that next week. So that'll be released online, but I hope to offend a lot of my fellow white people. I hope that we really shake up the conversation of white racism that white people have created, and I'm looking forward to releasing that. And then the XRE team have a few things that we're launching in February that we're keeping on a down low until it's all solidified. There's a couple of short films that are releasing in some fun festivals coming up, but again, I think I'm not allowed to announce that till February. And I am excited to say that the two of the theatre scripts that I've finalized, I get to act in them. So we are doing some play readings in a couple of coming months. So it's busy. There's lots to do. Yeah.
Great. So you've definitely been using this downtime to stay creative and keep yourself sane.
I think it's necessary. I think it's absolutely necessary. Without culture, humans, yeah, we need it. So I think it's necessary for independent artists to keep making stuff in a way that feels good. They don't have to be making stuff every day. I think that was a silly pressure that was put on us at the beginning by ourselves and sort of, acknowledging to release that perfectionism. Just be like, well, make stuff when it works for you. But then all of us are going to be different. Some people are going to want to create every day, and some people are going to be like, nope, just one project every year is good, works for me. So, yeah.
And are you a bit of both, or like, do you take as much downtime as you like, when you can just, like, I don't know, like sit on the couch in your sweatpants or whatever,
Yeah.
and just not do anything, just relax?
I tend to work from impulse, and I tend to have a lot of impulses. So I tend to do a lot of stuff. But then there are days, if not weeks, where I'm sort of just letting myself be and letting the work have some time apart. I'm very Aquarian in that way. I'm not very. There's no structure in that respect.
All right, cool. Well, I'll leave it there. But this has been fantastic, and hopefully I can talk to you again in February when you are allowed to announce what you're doing. So, but yeah, very excited, and yeah, I look forward to whatever you do next.
Thanks
very much. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for watching The Fan Carpet. Please follow us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram for more content next time.
There's this vulnerability that you need to have, and when you jeopardize that, I just don't get it.
Oh, baby, you know I'm crazy for ya. Oh, baby, the way we keep on.
I'm here on the largest of the Balearic Islands, Mallorca, with the turquoise waters of the Mediterranean Sea, beautiful mountainous landscape, the thriving city of Palma, quaint little market towns, a growing number of luxury hotels. It's no surprise that the likes of Audrey Hepburn and Elizabeth Taylor like to holiday here. So come and join me as I take you round Mallorca.
Thank you for watching The Fan Carpet. If you like this video, be sure to click that thumbs up button at the bottom of your screen. And also be sure to subscribe to the Fan Carpet YouTube channels. They're absolutely free and so much fun too. Be sure to check out the official website, thefancarpet.com. Also, you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to stay up to date with reviews, competitions, the latest news, and so much more.